Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. I, yeah, it's a beautiful day here in Nova Scotia, so I have the windows open. So hopefully it's not too loud for everyone. I'm really excited about today. We're talking about signatures. Signatures are the heart of your junk journal. So yeah, so today is going to be a great session. We're going to talk about signatures, what we can put in signatures, how I sort them, how I prep for them, all the details for a signature. And I think this will be very helpful for anyone who's new to junk journals or anyone that has been doing junk journals for a while. Maybe it will inspire you or give you some new ideas. So for those of you that follow along because I'm a card maker and do junk journals, I've decided that I'm going to do junk journals on Sunday for a bit, and then during the week I'm going to do cards. I haven't picked a day yet. I need to figure out my schedule, but I am still making cards. For example, I have made this card. This will be the first one that we do. And yeah, so I'll probably do this one this week. I also made some cards on Friday. I've got a Holly Jolly card here. I was part of the Pink Fresh Craft and Create on Friday. So I made some cards for that. And I have some other cards too. But basically, if you're following on Sundays for cards, it's going to be a junk journal for a little bit. Okay, so there's a lot to cover with signatures. So I had to type something up. So you're going to see me move over or take a pause to read just for a second, just to make sure I don't miss anything, because I want to make sure that you guys have all the details that you need to create your signatures. So far we've taken an old, gosh, I hope that's not too loud. So far we've taken an old hardcover book, and we've prepped it for our junk journal. So this one is one that I'm going ahead forward, and I'm going to use this hardcover book for my journal. Let's see. But before I get too far into the signatures, I just want to talk to you about my process on well, maybe we should talk about what a signature is first. So a signature is basically a collection of pages that you see inside the book. Like, for example, on this old book here, this is from the 1880s. This is a great example of a book that you can easily see the signatures, at least I hope. So all of these pages are grouped together and into different segments, and they're called signatures. So you can kind of see at the side, at least hopefully you can, there's like little rounded papers there. And this is where the papers are folded. So the papers are folded, and then you can see here, they're sewn in. So in our junk journal, we're going to take you can see the sewing there. So in our junk journal, we're going to take pages, group them together, and sew them into our journal. So this is the heart of our journal, and this is what we're prepping for today. And this is what we're going to discuss today. So when I know that or have an idea for a junk journal, I create a junk journal project bag. So here's the bag here. Um, in this bag, I'll put down pages I want to use in the junk journal, or little bits of items or whatever. Like in this one here, I have some hardcover pages. I have some little pieces of paper there. I have an envelope. I have small yellow pages. Let me flip this over. It might be easier this way. I have a postcard. I have some envelopes. I have tags. I've got bags. I've got a whole bunch of old postcards. I bought an embellishment kit, so I can have little beauties there. And then I have other papers and rub-ons and stuff like that, chipboard, that I look at it, like if I come across it and say, hey, you know, I think I want to put this in this junk journal, then I'll go ahead and I'll set it aside, I'll put it in here, and yeah, this is my junk journal bag for this particular project. So I find this is a good way for me to do this, because if you try to gather everything at once, you're going to forget stuff, and you're going to regret not adding, for example, an envelope in, or a pretty piece of paper that you had set aside um, that you had wanted to put into your junk journal and just forgot to do it. So I find that this just organizes me. And like right now, I have like 5 bags, I think, and because these are all the junk journals I have in my head. So in this case, I'm I'm yeah, so I'm doing the bags by theme, or what I think the junk journal is. So, for example, I'm doing a series of junk journals on 49 and Market color swatches. So I've already done a pink. I'm working on an orange and a blue, and then I also have this yellow one, and I have enough stuff gathered for it. So I've been setting stuff aside in this bag for my journal. So this helps me, again, organize my thoughts and what I want to put in here. So, for example, I've already pulled out my 49 Market 12 by 12 paper. I've already cut the size for my journal. And so these are going to be the pattern pages that I'm going to put in. And then after that, it's just collecting other things that you want to put in your journal. So what else are you going to put in your signature? Well, there are a whole bunch of things that you can put in. But I think before you start gathering even that, you need to figure out the intent of your journal. Is this going to be a journal where it's just solely writing? Like, are you going to put embellishments in it? Are you going to put pockets in it or anything like that? Um, or is it going to be a mixed media journal? Um, so each one of those will help you figure out what you're going to collect. If this is just going to be a journal for writing, then you're just going to have a whole bunch of plain paper in it, tea dye paper, line paper. If it's a journal where you want to add pockets and have things that you want to attach and flips and everything else, then you have to plan around that. If it's mixed media, then you have to think about, putting watercolor paper in there or putting mixed media paper in there. So you have to figure out the intent of your journal too. So you've got your theme, and then you've got your intent. And then after that, you can start collecting your goodies. So for example, like here, I'm just going to close that window because the crows are not liking the video. There we go. So with this, I have my pattern paper already pulled, as I said. So what else can you put in here? Well, you can put in tea-dyed paper. Our last video that we shared in this series was covering tea-dyed paper. So I have my tea-dyed papers pulled, and they are in here. And so here's all my plain tea-dyed papers. And then after that, well, you can collect old newspapers and magazines. But as I was saying in the tea-dyed video, you have to be a little wary of some newspaper and magazines. You're not sure if the ink is going to fade away over time or affect your nearby pages, or your ink if you go to write on it, or well, just the integrity of your journal. So you have to be a little bit wary of that. But like older magazines and older newspapers, you might be able to fit those in. It's the newer ones that I'm just a little bit concerned about. After your tea dye papers, you can put wrapping paper in. Like, here's some vintage wrapping paper. Here's some pretty wrapping paper. And then certificates. I found a container of certificates at a secondhand store. So or a pad of them. So I bought that. And then rice paper. I don't have any rice paper, but you could put rice paper in. Novel pages. I keep some of the insides of journals that or books I've cut up. Like, for example, I've been pulling paper from Portrait of the Lady, so I keep that in my journal. You can have dictionary pages. You can have atlas and atlas pages and maps. Like, these are great little pages here. And then don't forget the any kind of illustrated books or papers. Like, this is pretty. Like, you've got birds, you've got trees, you've got plants, you've got flowers, you've got oh, I really like this one here. Like, this book has been chock full of beautiful pages. And don't forget the insects, and then just books with pretty pictures in them. Let's see, I'm going to flip the page here. And of course, scrapbook paper. So here's some scrapbook paper here. Go in there. This one's a beautiful embossed scrapbook paper. I definitely want to put that in. More scrapbook paper. And then don't forget wallpaper. This isn't wallpaper. This is actually some fancy paper that I picked up at Michael's at one time. But it looks like wallpaper, and you can definitely put wallpaper in a book. Then there's school line paper. You can do music paper. I love music paper. Some of the older ones are a little brittle, just like any kind of older paper. So like with this, before I put it in a journal, I'm going to put washi tape along the side. And I've got this beautiful old paper. This is all music paper. And then don't forget ledger paper. So we tea-dyed this last week. I have sales receipts. Now, sales receipts, just like with some newspapers and magazines, the ink might fade on them over time. But you'll find out, like when you tea-dye, if that's going to happen. And, yep, so just be wary of that one too. And look at that. Like, I love that. That's so Art Deco. I bought a pad of that. And then there's old school books that you can grab too. Like, this is an old typing book. So I pulled pages out of that. This is from an old school book too. Also from an old school book. And of course, there's envelopes. This envelope, for example, is from my husband. He always does an envelope, and he puts this face on it. I don't know if that face is supposed to be him or me or whoever. It just made me laugh, but I love that. And then envelopes, and then, of course, more envelopes. I have those set aside. Doilies, you can do put doilies in, and then there's fabric. I pick up old sewing patterns when I see them, and so like with this is an old sewing pattern envelope. So I cut along the sides. I'm actually going to reinforce this along here and sew that right into my journal. And here's some of the paper from it. You can do vellum. So with this piece of vellum, I sewed it onto a page from a book, this old school book, and I just sewed it along on the outside, and so I'm going to have a pocket here, and it's going to show right through that gold vellum, and it's going to be quite lovely. This is a fancy fold or fancy cut scrapbook paper. So I'm going to use this. I glued it on the sides, and that's going to be in there. And don't forget graph paper. There's all sorts of graph papers that you can find at secondhand stores that can be used. And then there's some other unique paper. Like this paper is just pretty. You can see your hand right through it. I have no idea what kind of paper this is, but it's just gorgeous. I found this paper at a secondhand store. I don't know if it's from a game or what, but I like that. And this is paper from a testing facility. And so I just folded up. I'm going to make little pockets out of that. Put that in there. Some other things. There are also old kids' books. Like for example, so for this book, because the theme is yellow for this book, I don't know if I mentioned that. I picked up this old book at a second mission thrift store, and it has great little images of this little baby tiger, and so I'll put that in. Um, and yeah, just old kids books. I feel like they have just great imagery in there, and it looks just so good in a junk journal. Okay, so we have all our papers. So what I do now is I sort them by what they are, like I've done here already. Like I've already got it sorted according to what they are, and I'll go through them and decide if I'm going to keep the paper as is. Like for example, just have it folded and cut in half, or if I'm going to put a fancy edge on it, or if I'm going to sew uh, lace on it, or let's see, let's go back here. If I'm going to make flips out of them to put other pages on it, am I going to put pockets? Oh, that's upside down. I'm going to put pocket on it. Stuff like that. Are there pages in here that I'm going to do something with besides just cut them straight up and then cut them in half and fold them? So for those pages, I just set them aside. And I'll start with the ones that, let me go down here. I know I just had that. There we go. Here we go. It's right here. So what I do is, like for example, this piece of scrapbook paper, I wanted to make pockets out of them. So I cut it to size, flap them up. I put a little V in it so this way they're not bunched up in the center. I glued them along the edge and I put a paper clip on them on the edge and I set it aside. And then next I moved on to my other pages, like for example, like on this one, I went ahead and sewed a piece of lace on the side. And yeah, so I prepped those. And then also, like I said, on some of the pages, I wanted to do an edging on them. So you can do this a couple of different ways. You can just take a ruler and tear up it, or you could get an edge, a, a tear edge ruler like here. That one, I use this one a lot. I love the way that it makes the edges there. Also from secondhand stores, you'll see these little scissors with the edges on them. Like those are really good to make edges too. Whoops, I keep going out of frame there. Sorry about that. So as I'm going through each page and figuring out what I'm going to do with each of the pages I've collected, whether I'm keeping them, whether I'm cutting them straight or putting edges on them, or doing fancy edges on them, I go through and I prep the edges, and I make sure to, let me go off to the side here. I make sure to keep all of the paper waste, because you may use this paper waste somewhere in your book. For example, with the vellum one, I know that was back here, I thought. Sorry about this. Oh, there we go. There's the vellum one. So like I took some of the scraps there and I just kind of put it along the edge, and this will look good on a lot of edges of papers, on the bottoms of pockets. If you're going to take an envelope and use the window on there, it's nice to have some of these scraps to just put along the edge, and you can piece them together, or you can piece a whole bunch of them together and put them on the piece of paper, and that'd be a really unique page for your journal. So keep all the little scraps. Just set those aside because you never know when you're going to need them. And then also, if if you want, you can use ink to go along the edges to prep the edges. I haven't done that to these yet, but my intent is to go through all of these pages and ink the edges to make it look older, to make it look antique or vintage. Okay, so now the next step is your envelopes. Let's go back to here. So we're going to cover envelopes next week on things that we can do with them, on different techniques on how we can incorporate them in there. But like, for example, for this one, I want to keep this as is because I love this. This is from my husband, like I said, and it means a lot to me. So I'm not putting anything on here. This is just going to stay as is. So I've cut it along two sides. Oh, good morning, Danielle. So I cut this along three sides. So I will probably take some other paper. I might make some pockets down here, and I'm going to sew this into my journal along here. So this way I keep this envelope intent, and this is going to go right into my journal as is. I love that. Sometimes my friends, they give me, when they give me cards, they give me their cards, they give me a card and the flaps aren't glued down or looked down. So I'll join two of the cards, and I'll make a couple of pockets out of them. I can show you how to do this. This could be done next week too. I think I will do this one. And so I'll sew this into my journal right along the center there. And so for my journal, I have 5 signatures. So I have 5 envelopes that's going to go in there. And yeah, so even though I'm not doing anything to them right now, I'm keeping them in my stack of pages to make sure that they're accounted for. Lose track of these when I determine the thickness of my journal and how many signatures I'm going to have. So here's my stack of pages. Here's my stack of goodies that are going into my journal. Just one second. Okay. So, so now we have our papers. Like I said, they're all sorted by what they are. And what I need to do is I need to determine how many signatures I'm going to put into my journal, and yeah, go from there. Sort my pages out from there. So again, the number of your signatures and the thickness of your signatures, how many pages you're going to put in, is going to be dependent on what is the intent of your journal. Is it going to be a straight up journal? Is it going to be a journal that you're going to put a whole bunch of embellishments and flips and you're going to adhere a lot of stuff down? Or is it mixed media? So each one of those types of journals, they have ingredients in their signatures that have different thicknesses. For example, I have fabric in here, or let's just look at this page here. This one that's like the wallpaper. This is really thick. So if you have a whole bunch of these in there, you're not going to have as many pages in your journal. You're not going to have as many pages in your signatures. So what I like to do is I like to figure out what my journal is going to be. In this case, this journal is going to be one that I'm adding a whole bunch of envelopes to and a whole bunch of flips on. So that means my journal is going to be thicker. And even though I have the pages gathered here, I don't want it to be the entire width of this, of the spine. Hi, Randy. So this is the book cover that I picked out. My book cover, or the spine, is about 2 inches. So that's a really good thickness there. I'm going to be able to fit a lot of pages in there. But how many signatures am I going to need? Now, I know from my prior signatures, from my prior books, like I said, I usually go thick in my uh, journals. So for example, this one is a really thick one. And you can see all the goodies in there. You can see each one of my journals. Well, that one's pulling away. I might have to fix that. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's pulling away. Oh, it's lifting up a little bit. Yeah, I'll fix that. Anyway, so this one is chocked full of pages and flips and envelopes and pockets. Like, look at all the pockets I put in here. I have a lot of envelopes that I've put in here, and other little goodies in here. So it's actually taken up a lot of space in my signatures. So that means I'm not going to use as many pages in here as or as many sheets of items as someone who's doing just a straight up writing journal. So with this one, and I'm going to use the same method that on my yellow journal that I'm doing with this. So this one has 5 signatures in it. So, and it's a little bit wider than this one, but it's pretty close. So I try to keep my signatures about 1/4 inch wide when I put them in, and I know I'm going to need a little bit of gap, so about 1/8 of an inch gap. So each one of my signatures, I'm going to need about 3/8 of an inch of space. I'll show you the math on this. So my spine is 2 inches wide, and so each one of my signatures is 3/8. Now, if I put in 5 signatures, so 3 times 5 is 15/8. So that is very close to 2 inches. And that's going to give me a little bit of space. Like if it was 16/8, it would be, exactly 2 inches. So that means I'm going to have a little bit more space to fill up my journal. And again, this is based on what I know this journal is going to be with the flips and everything. So that means I'm going to have 5 signatures in this journal. So then I go through my stack. I've already got the outside of each signature put aside. I've got 5 of them here. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do this one here. And so what I do is I just go through. I've already got my pages sorted. Like there's a T dyed, there's a T dyed, there's a T dyed. And I'm just going to go through and sort each one of my signatures this way, because I don't want to have, a whole bunch of one type of paper in one signature. I want to have a variety in each one of my signatures. That's my choice. And I'm just going to go through and just do it this way. And this is where I start. I go through them, and then I look at my signatures after I've sorted everything, and I'll see how I have my pages together. Do I want these 2 pages next to each other? Do I want to switch out like this page with that one? Like maybe I've got too much yellow or something in one of my signatures. And so that's what I do. It makes it easy. It makes it full of variety. And it makes it kind of fun. Like these 2 here, like I just put these 2 pages together, and they're going to be small, so I might switch one of those out later on. And so now I'm coming to my envelopes. I've got an envelope there, an envelope there. I had exactly 5 envelopes. I only have 2 doilies. I might end up putting a couple more doilies in. Here's my pretty sewing envelope. So it's going to go there. I have 2 more of the sewing pages. Gosh, I really like those. going through my graph paper. Like you can see the variety that's going through now. Like each signature is going to be very, very cool and very unique. And there we go. We almost had the exact amount for each one. And you don't have to use a solid piece of pattern paper outside of each one of your signatures. I like to do that. They're like my chapters, and I like having them like that. I really love that. Okay, so now I have my signatures picked out. And I'm going to go through, you know what? I think I cut my 12 by 12s wrong. I think they're all too short. They look like it, don't they? I will have to cut some more paper, I guess. So those are my signatures. So now they're all divided up. I have my signatures picked out. I have the pages picked out. And so I'm going to go into each one of them. Just going to set this aside. And I'm just going to start laying things out. Like this one, like I said, this one is going to have a flip here, and I'm going to use this as a pocket. So I might take a plain one here and put that in there. And just as long as they're the same size, and put that in. So that's not the same size. So I might have to cut this down. But that's that. So when this goes into my signature, I'm going to glue it here. I've got a pocket. And then later on in this is going to have a piece of paper here, and it's going to flip out. So I'm going to put this kind of towards the middle, just to add some interest. So yeah, I love this typewriter paper. And maybe I'll go this next. And then, well, you'll be pretty. Be nice to put that in there. And then I'm going to have to shove an envelope in there somewhere. Maybe I'll make this envelope. Actually, no. I'm going to do this. Have that nice lace there. Put it there. And then maybe now I'll do an envelope. I've got this plain paper. That's going to look pretty together. I've got that. I've got some lace. I've got this, which is also going to have a flip. You can see I've got the flip ready for that one. I want this to be the star when you open up that signature. It'd be cool to see that. And this guy, that's just really neat. So I don't know if I'm going to keep this as a page in here, or if I'm just going to glue it in somewhere. So that's how I start prepping my signatures. And I'll do this for each one of them. And then I will put these into my book. That annoys me that I did not cut that right. But luckily I have extra sheets of that paper. So I'm going to put this into the book and look at it this way. And so when I look at this, I'm going to say, okay, did I leave myself enough space for my pockets, for example, for all my flips I'm going to do? And if so, like if it looks like I have, like I already know what my embellishments are because they're in my project kit. They're in my project bundle that I have. I know about how many things I want to put in. So does it look like I left enough space for that? Or did I leave too much space for that? And then at that point, you can just add or delete pages as you see fit. And also, like when you go through this, you can determine whether some of the pages that you pulled aside are really ones that you want to keep in there. So signatures, I find that they do take a while, but it's worth it when you're done. Like, for example, on this one, again, like I went a little bit too thick on it, and that's because I did go a little crazy with my pockets and with some of my envelopes. I made them a little bit too thick with thicker paper, and I think that kind of made things a little difficult with this album. Even though I am 100% happy with it, like it's a junk journal. It's not going to be perfect. This isn't, a book that you're going to find in chapters. It's going to be nice and flat inside your bookcase. This is a junk journal. It's going to be full of happy stuff. It's going to be chocked full of things. At least that's what the intent of this book was. So yeah, so this is my introduction to signatures. This is my process. This is what I do to prep my signatures for my journal. So the only thing left to do with the signatures really is to figure out what I'm going to do with the envelopes. And I think because we've been doing this for about 37 minutes now, so I think I uh I do the same thing. I love pockets and tucks. I know pockets and tucks are great. It makes little journals like so interesting, and like the hidden pockets and the hidden flips for like text areas. I just love it. So, yeah, so I think because I've been talking for a while and we don't have a lot of time to work on updating or doing anything with envelopes. So I think what we could do is next week we'll update some envelopes so we can prep those and put them in our signatures. And then after that, the next video after that, we're going to actually put our signatures in. It takes a little bit of time, so I don't think I'm going to do a live in 2 weeks. I'm just going to do a video and just release it, so that this way I'm not wasting your time by sewing everything. It could take a half hour just to sew these in. I don't want to waste your time with that. I just kind of want to show you, and then maybe. And then after that, I'll show you how I put it into the book. I think that's a better use for your time. So if you like this video and yeah, just feel free to hit that little like button. Make sure you leave a comment. I really appreciate Danielle and Randy for sitting here and watching this today. It's really nice to sit here and craft with you and to go through signatures. I just love talking about junk journals, and I'm glad that you were here to sit with me during this. If at any time you want to leave a comment or a question, just feel free to do so. I'll get back to you. And yeah, make sure you hit that little follow button too, so that we can go through this junk journal process together. And don't forget that this week, at some point this week, like I said, I haven't determined the date. I am going to do a card making one, a card making live. I'm going to try to incorporate the cards during the week, and like I said, the junk journals on the weekend, just for a little bit. Like I said, I'm still making cards, and yeah, so we gotta make sure we share the paper crafting love, whether it's cards or junk journals or scrapbooking. Yeah, I just love crafting, and I love to craft along with people. So thank you again for stopping by. I hope you have a happy crafty day. Bye.